It had 6 substantial rooms and often had big names stay. I worked, doing a bit of everything. Guest assistance, reception, service in the restaurant, drinks. Whatever was needed, really. One of the line cooks was from Eastern Europe, was in about his mid-40s and worked full-time. He was overly friendly with me, to the point of making me feel uncomfortable, commenting on how I looked, staring too long, standing too close, touching me whenever opportunity arose, just on the arms, back, shoulder, with a palm. Nothing overly outrageous, but there was a creepy feel about it. To give you a picture, I'm 5'2" and slight build. This guy was tall, about 6'5", and had a broad, strong build. He looked like he worked out. English was his second language, but he spoke it fluently. Often he would stand close to me or stand between me and my exit and give me compliments, staring at my chest and saying,
"Wow, you're good. Guys must love you."
and
"You're so beautiful.
and
I love your legs in the uniform. You should always wear a skirt with those legs."
yada yada, etc., making me feel super queasy. He was also a born-again Christian and loved to recite random scriptures to me because he knew I grew up Catholic and figured for some reason I would appreciate it. I did let him know I wasn't religious, and he volunteered that he has only recently become a born-again Christian. I asked him what made him turn to the Lord and really wish I hadn't. His response,
It doesn't matter what you have done in the past. No matter what. When you become born again, you get a clean slate and forgiveness.
he had the creepiest smile when he said this and was staring at me with his head lowered, if you can get that sinister image I mean. It was full on weird. This guy has done some messed up stuff. I have zero evidence of this, other than he gave those vibes. Anyways, I went on a holiday for a few weeks, and on my first shift back, I'm setting up the restaurant for the evening dinner, and he shows up to work his shift. He comes up behind me, and with his mouth and nose against the edge of my neck, he breathed me in. I could feel his warm, icky breath. He smelled and inhaled me and said,
I've missed your smell."
It was gross. I just gave a weird, awkward smile and ushered away. I went down to the office to take a second to chill. My GM was in there at the time and he asked me what was up. I told him what happened, but said it wasn't a big deal, that I was fine and just wanted a second to chill. He was like, hell no, and went up to the kitchen and fired this guy on the spot. He came back and told me I had nothing more to worry about. That was it. Never saw him again. I did kind of fear him trying to get back at me, but nope. That was a really good shift that night. It felt great to see my boss stick up for me like that.
I'm going to take you back a few years to when I was working at McDonald's. For context at the time, I was a 16-year-old female. Now at the McDonald's I worked at, when you are on headset, you answer people at the drive-thru. You are normally required to be at the first window to also take payment. My job position was customer care manager at the time, so my job was to be on the front desk, but 99% of the time, they required me to be behind tills. So I was having a normal day, working a long shift, but having a normal work day. I happened to be on headset, and first window that day too. My headset buzzes, letting me know there's someone at my drive-thru lane. I go through to the first window to answer my customer, and this is how the conversation ensued. "Hello, welcome to McDonald's, what can I get you?" "Oh wow, you got a beautiful voice." His voice was grunty and husky sounding. Not off-putting, we have all sorts of customers come through McDonald's every day, so it didn't give me the creeps or anything. "Thank you, sir, how very flattering. What can I get you?" "I haven't decided yet." There's a long pause here. "Can I come to the first window to decide? I want to see who I'm talking to." Now we weren't very busy at this point. The creeper hadn't actually creeped me out. I mean, all he'd done was pay me a compliment, and we quite often had people complaining that they preferred face-to-face contact, so this certainly wasn't out of the blue or unusual. Yeah, sure sir, that's fine. Wow, you're as beautiful as you sound. Thank you sir. Have you decided what you're going to order? Are you an option? I laughed nervously at this. It was my first job, and I wasn't the rude kind of person where someone was paying me a compliment. I must also point out this guy must have been in at least his 60s. I remember he had one lazy eye that looked to the left, painfully awful teeth, and patchy dark brown hair. At this point, I was a little bit uncomfortable, but was still more than willing to take his order. I'll have a cheeseburger. Okay sir, that'll be 99p. Are you paying cash or card? Without answering my question, he started asking me where I'm from, how old I was, etc. But it wasn't until his last question that I got super weirded out. What time do you finish work? 7:30, why? I didn't actually finish at 7:30, but 7:30 was the first number that came into my head when I blurted it out. I finished at 8 and would probably do some overtime too, but I wasn't about to let him know that. I can meet you if you want. I can pick you up outside and we can go somewhere. All the while he's saying this, he has this horrendous grin on his face and keeps winking at me. I'm really sorry, sir. I'm not allowed to meet customers outside of work. It's against employee policy. This was utter bull, but I needed him to leave me alone, and he carries on being insistent, but not getting the picture, and I cut the conversation short. Anyway, sir, sorry to be rude, but can I have the 99p for your cheeseburger? Ah, yes, sorry. See you at 7:30. Off he drove to the next window, and I was gobsmacked. I'd already said I wasn't going to see him. I was a little bit shocked, but was not going over there to give him the satisfaction of talking to me again. My coworker came to me and said, "Ew, that guy had a major crush on you. I wanted your number, but I didn't give it to him. He's old enough to be your dad, if not older." Anyway, I explained exactly what happened and how uncomfortable it made me. 7:30 came around and my coworker spooked. The creeper was actually waiting in the car park for me, just like he said he would. He sat halfway down the car park, and you could see him just staring in. Our car park wasn't very big. It only had 4 rows of parking spaces, so he wasn't that far away, and would have clocked me the minute I walked out the door. At this point, I'm freaking out, and head to the back of the store where hopefully he can't see me. I had to stay in the back of the store for 40 minutes before we knew it was safe to come out. Fast forward a week and Creeper is back on drive-thru, and guess who's back on headset at window 1? Me. I heard his voice and recognized it straight away. I was hoping I'd hear your voice again. Why didn't you meet me the other day? 1 second, sir. I'll be with you in 1 second. I immediately handed my headset to my manager and gave him a quick briefing of the situation. He gladly took the headset and dealt with the customer from start to finish. When my manager came back to me to let me know he'd gone, he said the creeper had been asking my name, my address, and my surname. My manager said he was the most creepiest guy he'd ever met, and I was never to have anything to do with him again. If he came back to work while I was there afterwards, my manager would have to head me to the back room while he dealt with him. He still asked about me every time. So to the creepy McDonald's guy, let's never meet again. I live alone, have done for a few years. This story takes place 2 years ago, before the start of the pandemic. It was just an average Saturday night. It was 1 a.m. and I was up late, gaming in the basement. I'd set up my basement for a gamer's paradise. I had all the old consoles, controllers, memory cards, everything you can think of. And it would be customary that every other Saturday, I would have my friends over for some huge and epic gaming nights. This Saturday, however, was one without company. I was downstairs, headphones in, and numbing my brain with excessive gameplay, when all of a sudden, I finished a level, and the music stopped briefly on the loading screen. That's when I heard a faint smack upstairs. Immediately, I removed my headphones and listened more attentively. A second smack. Something or someone was at my door. I looked at my watch. It was really late, far too late for anyone to be here. I tentatively started to climb the stairs, wary that it could be something horrible waiting for me, but nonetheless made my way up. An important note is that the basement door opens inwards. Therefore, as I started to pull it open, I slowly peeked my head through, assuming that if anyone were looking in, they wouldn't be able to see me, as from any window on the upstairs landing, it would be fairly clear if the door were open the other way. I peeked my head through and instantly see through the window and illuminated by the orange streetlight, a few people standing at my door. They had what appeared to be a crowbar and were trying to pry my door open. Now, I live in a relatively safe area and had always just locked my door out of habit, but now there was someone trying to break in. My door wasn't particularly strong and my locks weren't that great. I knew that it was just a matter of time. I slowly closed the door and locked the basement door from the inside. The basement door lock, in fact, was one I had installed as a prank against some friends. I made my way downstairs, put my cell phone near the window, and started dialing 911. When the operator came on, I frantically told her that there were men breaking into my house and that they had crowbars. She didn't miss a beat and told me that she would be dispatching someone very soon indeed. She stayed with me on the line. All the while I waited in absolute agony, fearing that the men were going to come closer, maybe break down my door in any second. I was absolutely petrified. I stood there next to the window, trying to hear what the operator was saying, her words of comfort keeping me sane, as the beautiful sound of police sirens permeated the night. I heard an absolutely colossal scuffle from upstairs, and then the police exiting the vehicle and gave chase. At the end of it, only a few things were stolen. They managed to catch a few of the criminals, but I didn't ever retrieve all of my items. The real loss here is my sense of security. If anyone's experienced a break-in, perhaps they feel the same thing. I just feel unsafe. I've had extra locks put on my doors, even latches put on my windows, but now I just feel vulnerable. I have security cameras outside my home and bought a specialist TV which I turn on almost every night just to watch the outside of my home. It's getting to be a bit excessive, I know, but it's the only way I sleep at night. And sometimes I still don't feel safe in my own home. They robbed me of that feeling of safety, and that's something I can never forgive them for.